Whether your attacker is standing on the ground or armed with a weapon, if you destroy his hand, you end the fight. In this video, I'm going to teach you my contemporary fighting arts method for dislocating fingers, breaking hands, and shutting down weapon threats in seconds. Let's check it out. Most people don't realize how fragile the human hand really is, especially the fingers. That's why pro boxers and MMA fighters go to great lengths to protect them, because even a slight misstep can shatter bones or dislocate joints. But on the street, there are no wraps and no gloves, and your attacker isn't expecting you to target their hand or fingers. The best part, it doesn't take a lot of strength. Just precision and a boatload of aggression. That's what makes this a brutal street fighting equalizer. Before we get into the lesson, if you want to explore some of my hand and finger destruction tactics in greater depth, check out my book War Machine 2, a comprehensive 340-page book packed with cutting-edge self-defense strategies for real-world combat. With over 300 photos and step-by-step instructions, War Machine 2 walks you through devastating strikes, counter-grappling techniques, situational awareness drills, and real-world tactics for dealing with violent confrontations, including how to handle chokes, grabs, and ambush attacks. So if you're serious about learning no-nonsense, reality-based self-defense, War Machine 2 is a must-have. Check the link in the description down below to get your copy today. Before we get into the techniques, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm not teaching finger locks or pain compliance techniques. This is joint and bone destruction. When you rip a finger straight back against the joint, you're causing a dislocation, tearing ligaments, and often fracturing the bone. That finger is done. And when I target the hand, whether it's pinned to the ground or exposed while standing, I'm going after the metacarpals, the long bones that support the hand. A focused strike crushes that structure, breaking bones and instantly disabling the limb. No grip, no punch, no weapon, no fight. It's pure and simple functional destruction. So this technique is when someone applies a finger poke, or we call it a parental finger. Tommy's gonna come up, he's gonna threaten me, he's gonna start poking me in the chest. Always raise your hands up. You want to angle your body protectively. You want to talk, communicate, gesticulate. Now normally, CFA response would be we trap it against our body and we blast him with a palm heel. Devastating technique. So this response, this finger dislocation technique, is a less aggressive response, but still quite devastating. So what he's going to do, he starts finger poking, raise both hands up. I'm going to trap, and I'm going to go for that index finger and I'm going to break it. I'm going to dislocate it. Technically, you're dislocating, not breaking it. So when I do this, I'm actually going to put my body weight into it and drop my head down so he goes down with it. Now, the reason I do this is because it gives me tremendous leverage, but also in case he decides to unload that fist, because again, my hands, both hands are being preoccupied. So I'm anticipating in case he decides to throw that shot, which chances are he is not going to, because this is going to be happening incredibly fast. I'm going to drop the head down, so if he does throw that shot, that's going to hit the frontal bone. And let me tell you what that's going to do to that other hand. That's going to break that hand because the frontal bone is incredibly dense. In fact, one of my students was a forensic pathologist, and he often told me that when they would do autopsies and they would actually go and cut into the forehead, that the saws would break because the frontal bone is incredibly dense. So when someone does throw a shot, especially, for example, let's say Tommy was going to throw a shot at me. Let's say I was in a bear hug and someone had trapped my arms and Tommy was going to do it, just a knockout shot. So my arms are pinned. Someone has me in a bear hug. Tommy's going to throw that shot. One of the techniques we teach is to drop the head down and take the shot on the frontal bone. That will break that hand. Again, it's always better to block and parry, but if your hands are trapped, take it on the frontal bone. When it comes to that parental finger, we're going to break that finger, dislocate that finger, drop the head down and to anticipate if he does throw that punch. So this technique works against a bear hug from behind with your hands being free. Now, again, you have to ask yourself, how did you allow someone to get you in a bear hug to begin with? Sometimes we're not on top of our game. Sometimes we don't have our situational awareness on. It happens to the best of us. So if you are caught off guard, here's a counter to that. So Tommy comes across, he gets me in that bear hug, my hands are free. The first thing you want to do is you want to bump your hips back. This prevents him from lifting you up for a few seconds. That's all you got. Once you bump the hips back, he doesn't have the leverage to lift up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stabilize my balance on his wrists. I'm going to grab one of his wrists. I'm going to start knuckle wrapping. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand just like I'm knocking on the door. I'm going to pound on the back of the metacarpals right here. They're incredibly sensitive. When I do that full force, his fingers are going to splay out. Once they splay out, I reach over, I grab any finger I can get. The index finger is ideal, and I'm going to start peeling it back and spin out. As I spin out, I'm going to snap this as I pull out of it. So this hand is no longer going to be operative in the fight. An incredible advantage you have. Hand and finger destructions don't only apply to unarmed combat, they apply to armed combat. For example, being held up at gunpoint. Now, of course, we're going to be training with a training pistol, and this is not a lesson on gun disarming, okay? That's a very important topic that deserves a separate video with you have to really cover it in depth. And I do have some videos that I touch upon that subject. I'm just trying to show you how you can destroy that finger, you can destroy that hand in an actual being held up at gunpoint. So Tommy holds me up at gunpoint. Raise my hands up, I comply, I never fight for my possessions. Again, I don't want to have to disarm this weapon, but if I have to, the hands come up. What I have to do is I have to redirect the weapon, move my target out of the line of fire, control the weapon, and then neutralize him. Now, what I'm going to do is as I move the target, my head out of the line and redirect it, I'm going to catch it in this hand. So if we see it right here. Now look over here how Tommy's finger is in the trigger guard. And what I'm going to do is grabbing the frame and grabbing this hand. This is what isolates it. I'm going to peel it back and I'm going to drive it down, all the way down to the ground. Now let me tell you, this position right here, this finger in the trigger guard, it is excruciating to the person holding that weapon. And I've done this with just countless law enforcement officers in very controlled settings. And every one of them says how absolutely painful this technique is. So what we're doing is we're dislocating that index finger in the process of disarming the weapon. Another finger dislocation technique you can use is against a full Nelson. Now I know what some of you are thinking, who the hell puts anybody in a full Nelson? Believe it or not, it does happen, especially in multiple opponent situations where they want to get you in this hold while the others work you over. So this is a technique that's particularly effective. Tommy comes across, he gets me in the full Nelson. First thing I do is I raise both hands up, stabilize my balance, raise my leg up, and stomp right on the toe. That causes a reaction response. Tommy's finger is going to slightly break open. I'm going to look for whatever digits available, grab it with my whole hand, peel it back, and spin out. Now, if I want to break the finger, if I just use my finger here, Tommy can resist a little bit. But if I isolate and grab the wrist, there's your finger dislocation right here. I'm going to take this finger and bring it here. Now pay close attention. This clip shows how you can use the surface of the ground itself as a weapon to smash the hand, disarm the weapon, and shut down the threat.
Stab, Pete. Keep trying to stab. Keep trying to stab. Good job. Keep it going, guys. Good hustle. Good hustle.
Breaking a man's hand or dislocating his fingers isn't sexy or flashy, but it's real. It shuts down the tools he needs to hurt you and ends the fight before it spirals out of control. These techniques aren't for the ring, they're for the street, where precision, tactics, and viciousness win. Master them and you'll never look at a fight the same way again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.